Welcome to the Traveling Professors. I'm Professor Bob.
And I'm Professor Sheri.
And together we are
the Traveling Professors.
Welcome to show number 86 of the Traveling Professors. We're back in Rome. This is actually a walk that Sheri and I took the last day before we left in Rome, where we intended to go down to see the Circus Maximus and then go to antique flea market that's on the river Tiber, not far away. But we decided that didn't turn out as well. The flea market was a little further away than we thought. So we decided to just take a nice walk down the Tiber River and go back to the Vatican because they had some of the best souvenirs and we needed to get some souvenirs for the kids. So we go off on this walk and it has an unusual ending. Time for a trusty map. So here we are in Rome and we're going to be going from our apartment right across from the Colosseum. We're going to take the metro this time down to the station for the Circus Maximus. And then we're going to go through the Circus Maximus. And then we will go up this way and see a couple of buildings, cross the bridge here, and the flea market is this direction, and it was a lot further away than we wanted to walk. And the weather was nice. This is end of May, early June. So we thought, well, it'd be fun to walk by Tiber Island. And then as we walked along, we felt, well, this is a really easy walk. So we ended up going all the way down to just before you get to the Castle di San Angelo, and then we made a detour. And this map shows it a little better because we want to go to the Vatican. So we go up the street and then we start heading into the Vatican to walk through it because the good souvenir stores are right down this direction here. Then ultimately we went a couple of blocks away and got on the metro and then came back the way we did when we went to visit the Vatican. Now here's a model of the Circus Maximus. Now it is the largest circus chariot racing venue in the Roman Empire until the Hippodrome is completed in Constantinople. It may have been a little bit bigger. There's a little controversy over that. But this would be, in its heyday, 600 meters long and 200 meters wide. And it would seat 100,000 easy. Some people talk about it being 150,000. It was originally built out of wood. They built it out of wood twice. And the people got upset and burned it down. Julius Caesar then made it out of stone. Now, this is a little bit controversial here with this artwork because up on the hill is the Royal Palace. And so you've seen pictures when we were at the Royal Palace on the Palatine Hill looking down on this. They have it structured as if the end right here is where the chariots come out and then go down, make their turn, and come back. We know that if the emperor is visiting, he is in the imperial box and would have control over the alba linea, the white line, to determine whether it was a fair start or not. So when we went to visit the site, I assumed this is what it would look like, although this has always kind of troubled me. And an aerial view of the site today shows, you can see the spine right down the middle. You can see where the seating would have been, and then you see a building at the end with an opening. And then you see this half circle up here. Well, in this half circle up here is where they're reconstructing the starting gate. And there is a significant distance between the starting gate and where the race course would be, as you'll see when we get on the ground, because it's really incredible once you get on the ground to see how large it is. And when you consider in the major races, you did 7 circular laps around this thing. You had to really be careful on how you used your horses. You can't run them out full tilt. We came in from down in this area right here. So we come in and we see the starter's tower, and then you start seeing these semicircles with these little openings. There's a little closer view of it back behind. And then here's what you're seeing now. They're continuing to do reconstruction. This has been about 5 years ago, so it'll be maybe much more extensive. And you would have to have buildings and other places back behind here across the street where they would keep extra horses, and frequently they were brought in underground through a tunnel into this position. Turning and looking the other direction, this is the view that you have from the starting gate towards the other end. It's rather daunting. Now we couldn't this is as close as we could get to this area because you see they have put a chain link fence across here so people wouldn't come in and be bothering them. But you can see in this picture where the spine starts, the little hill here where they would have had all sorts of different decorations and obelisks and whatever else. So eventually we get to a position where we can get down on the site. So there's the Palatine Hill, and then I walk down and I'm right where that fence is. So I'm looking right towards the other end, Palatine Hill's over here. So this would be the end where you would come down, turn, go the other direction. And then I began walking. Now that was, it wasn't solid, it was gravelly. But this is a view, if you were in a chariot, of the other side of the course. So this would have all been filled with people and would have gone up higher than it is now. And so I'm going down, there's another section and another section, and then this is what it looks like going forward. And then I get closer to the end, and then there's a picture that Sheri took of me. Okay, now I'm 6'2.5". You put me in a chariot, I would be visible, but you needed the colors. You needed the reds and the blues and the yellows and whatever to see that. There are more chariots racing than can go into these lines. So you have to determine when you come out of the starting gate whether you want to attempt to crash or not. Now here's looking at the palace up on the hill. I've gone around the other direction. And then here is the end, which is another building that's way across the street. So I get down, getting close, and I make the turn, go in the other direction, and so then you can see what was going on, and then you're viewing back. And then this is the spot where you have to turn. They've got that's the starting gate back in there. And this is a little closer view of the steps, which would of course been just the way all this area would have been like that with seating. And then we went up to the top. Here's my view looking from the top back down and then looking all the way across. So to think that you would have racing, and they also used these for some gladiatorial events before the Colosseum was done. Well, after leaving the Circus Maximus, we just headed out the end towards the building. We went down the street a little ways, and then there's a series of original buildings, and then you see the one on the left-hand side. That's a reconstruction of the Temple of Vesta. So here's the back view of the Temple of Vesta. And then just a short distance away is the bridge to cross the Tiber. So we're crossing the Tiber, and what we should do if we're going to go to the flea market, we would cross the bridge and then turn left and go down probably about a half a mile to get to it. We decided we would just do something else. So we're going to turn and head towards that bridge. Now Sheri and I are crossing the bridge Ponte Palatino. From this view, you can see the back end of Tiber Island, and you'll see one of the two bridges. And that bridge is the Ponte Fabricio. And then we get a little closer to seeing the end of the island, which in Roman times had all kinds of temples on it, dedicated to healing and what have you. And then once we get across to the other side, we start walking towards the island. Now we really intended to, since we weren't going to do the flea market, we thought we'd maybe stop here for lunch, but we had breakfast not very long ago, and so decided not to do that. This side of the island has the other bridge, which is the Ponte Castillo. And you can see it has a little weir where the water runs over it. So we get a little closer. You see where you can get down to the river. Actually get down to the river on both sides and both ends. And then there's the view, getting ready to look across the bridge into the city. And as you can see, it's pretty quiet because it is Sunday. It's about probably 11:30 or something like that. And then this is a view looking down to the next bridge, and that one is the Ponte Garibaldi. And of course, we have to have Garibaldi something here. So here we are getting to the other end of the island, and you see the front end of it at this point. Of course, you can imagine whenever it floods, this goes underwater. And then here you see where the point of the island splits the Tiber River into two parts. That is Tiber Island, and we didn't do much running around on it. We actually walked into it, but there really wasn't much to see because nobody was ready to open their restaurants at the time. Now, from the Ponte Garibaldi, we look towards our next stop, which is the Ponte Sisto. And then once you get down there, you get this beautiful picture of the Garibaldi Bridge and where the Tiber separates and splits to go around the island. And then we also saw this double-decker cruise ship for taking little cruises on the Tiber, something that Sheri and I need to do when we go back again. Then looking further down, we see the next bridge, and that is the Ponte Mazzini. We've had Garibaldi, we got to have Mazzini. Now Mazzini's bridge is incredible. The lamp fixtures. You notice when you start seeing the lamp fixtures come up, how they have something sticking out of them. Well, they're Roman warship prows with the battering rams on the front of them. So this is a beautiful bridge to get on and walk across and take a view of the river. And then the next bridge further down, it's kind of plain looking. It's the Ponte Principe Amadeo de Savoia. Closer to that bridge, you can see one of the churches in the region. And then You see this one where we have a smaller cruise ship going under the bridge, and then over the top of it, you can just barely see it, the gigantic Castle de San Angelo. I would love to go there. We did not get a chance to go to Castle de San Angelo. They have now opened it so you can go into the Papal Palace on the top of it, and you can also, I think you have to have a tour for this, you can take the corridor that the popes used to escape the Vatican to get to Castle St. Angelo when Rome is under attack. From this bridge, we then went back on land and stayed on land, and then we will turn before we get to the next bridge. The next bridge is the Ponte Victor Emmanuel II. I'm standing on just the edge of it here in this particular picture, so you can see the Castle de San Angelo. Here's a little better view of the bridge with the castle, and a closer view of the Castle de San Angelo. And I have a lot of pictures of it because not only is this where Hadrian's tomb is located, but they have all sorts of military armaments in here. They have something like 80 rooms of military equipment. So it's not something that Sheri really is interested in. So when we go back to Rome, I'll probably have to do the Castle de San Angelo on my own. But you can see the fortifications. Hadrian did a good job building a nice tomb there. And then the bridge directly in front of it that you see in this picture is, of course, the Ponte de San Angelo. So we're going to turn left and head towards the Vatican. Remember, we're just going to pass through so we can get some souvenirs. Before we get to the Vatican, let me just say that walk down the Tiber was so relaxing and so wonderful that you'd have a little sack lunch, a little bottle of wine, or periodically stop and get yourself a coffee or espresso. It was just so relaxing. At any rate, now we're heading towards the Vatican so we can take a right-hand turn out and go to the souvenir places. Well, as we head up that street towards Vatican Square, there are more and more and more people that are walking there. Well, I thought it's kind of odd to be this kind of a crowd. Church services are probably over, so we get a little closer. And you can see in the distance, the crowd is kind of going for some purpose. So we finally get into St. Peter's Square, and then Sheri remembered that this was the last Sunday of the month. And on the last Sunday of the month at 1 o'clock, the Pope gives a 15-minute sermon on some topic and then blesses the crowd. Well, guess what? That's why everybody's here. So look, this area is just packed with people. There must have been 50, 60 or more thousands and thousands of people. And they had television sets around the perimeter so you could watch the Pope and you could hear him, obviously. He spoke in Italian, but we found a radio station that translated it in the evening. So we're standing there looking at the little spot on the window right here where he's going to Papal Apartments. And sure enough, here he comes out, and he did a sermon on the Our Father. And then at the end, the entire group of people, he led us in the Our Father. And hearing it in who knows how many languages was just really inspiring. Then he went in, and then we went and bought our souvenirs, a couple of bags full of them. They were pretty nice. And then on the way back to the metro to go back to our apartment, here was the pizza place where we stopped and had a nice pizza. So it was a really nice relaxing day. We got to see the Circus Maximus. We had this wonderful walk, and then this peaceful experience with thousands of other believers and saying the Our Father. It was really wonderful. Sheri and I hope you enjoyed the tour. Please come by our YouTube channel at Bob Packett, and please subscribe and leave some comments. Thank you very much. I've been doing podcasting on history for over 15 years. I've got over 4,000 shows, and I've done CDs, which of course can be sent out as USBs. So if you would really like to get more on history for free, then come by my website, as you see here, historyaccordingtobob.com, and see what's there. So thank you very much again.